Hi guys, it's Belle here, and today I'm coming on with a bit of a tutorial that's been requested by quite a few of you. So during Tracy Fox's Creep on June, I was using a lot of these grey blue papers that I have hand dyed. And I had a request from you guys, from a lot of you guys, to actually show you how I do that, because I use something called Brusho crystals. And even more recently, the lovely Tony over at Crafted by Tony basically did a shout out to me in one of her getting ready for Halloween videos. So thank you, Tony. When I tell you, I was jumping a bit crazily around the living room going, oh my gosh. It was a good job no one was filming, guys, because oh my goodness. So once again, thank you so much for that. And I know there's a lot of new subscribers who have come over because of that shout out. So hello guys. It's a bit chaotic here, but hopefully you enjoy it. So anyway, these grey papers. Now there's different shades. They're not the grey papers, they're black papers that I was using. There are different shades. Why have I got black paper? As you can see. And I think that's down to type of paper. I'm not sure. I do a lot of this and I just shove anything in I've got that I want to actually dye. So you could get it as dark as this, but usually it's more this kind of grey blue. And you can see like this one has red all over it. I am going to show you how I do that as well. Love this one. So we are going to do that. So the first thing, if you're going to do this, you're going to need gloves. You are going to need to protect your space. I am working on my Tim Holtz craft mat. Please do not just think you can put a towel down or some newspaper and do this on top of it. No. Brusho crystals die. They really die. I mean, I've got some of my fingers and I've washed these fingers 3 or 4 times. I know Tony's had the same issue when some got through one of her gloves. So let me show you what, so as I was saying, gloves really protect your surface. I'm wearing an apron. Do not wear your best clothes for doing this, guys. And let's get started. So these are what Brusho crystals are. I bought a pack of 10 off Amazon. I will link it down below if they're still there. They do not come in this clear box. They come in a cardboard box. And this is Brusho crystals. Now, I bought the pack of 10. They're like a mica powder. These are all the different colours you can get. I do not have all these colours. I want all these colours, but I do not have them. And yeah, there's loads of different ways. This sheet's really good because it shows you can use it with bleach, which when I originally brought Brusho crystals, and I'm talking about, I bought this pack probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I was doing it because I was doing a bleach effect on a card that I was making. You can paint, you can sprinkle, you can use different things. There's lots of hints and tips. There's lots of videos on YouTube. I still haven't even scratched the surface of what I can do with my Brusho crystals. So I got this pack of 10, which has all your basic colours. It has purple, yellow, green. It has 2 types of green, actually, emerald green and leaf green. I'm already going to put my gloves on because I'm going to be touching these. Black, scarlet red. I think there's an orange, although I don't find the orange does very much if I'm doing paper dyeing. I will show you at the end of this video all different types of paper dyeing I do. Another thing I suggest is get a pin and poke a hole in the top, because then you can sprinkle it like you would salt. And I'm trying to find one. Let's see, we've got scarlet. What's that like? That's just red. There are so many different colours in the leaf green. The leaf green is like this orangey yellow, but there are so many different colours in there. It's amazing. What I'll do at the end is I'll sprinkle some right on top and you'll be able to see turquoise. You can see the different shades of blue in that turquoise. And look, guys, I have been using these for 4 or 5 years. I dye nearly all my colour papers with Brusho crystals. And look how much. These are little pots. But I've still got maybe at least 1/3 to half in all of my Brusho crystal pots. Because when I tell you a little goes a long way, I mean, a little goes a long way. So I will link them down below. I think you can get them individually, but yeah. So also another tip. I have now my own tins for tea dyeing and paper dyeing, because I will not use, and I do not suggest that you use, a tin that has had Brusho crystals or like your oxide inks or like any kind of ink medium that you're going to dye or do paper techniques with. I would not use that then for food, guys. Tea dyeing, fine, it's tea. You know, there's not going to be a problem if it's as long as it's washed to cook in. But I have my own set of pans. Now, I would have preferred to use my other pan, but I actually have already filmed this video once and then realised I wasn't filming. So I have my pan. I have filled it to about 1/3 with hot boiling water. I would leave the water to cool down a little bit if I was you, because, you know, boiling water. But about 1/3. Now, to be honest, I don't think you need to. I think you can just use lukewarm water or cold water with Brusho crystals. It's not the same as with tea dyeing. But I find if the water's a little bit hot, I find that the crystals sink into the papers easier. And then I'm just going to top this up with a little bit of cold water. Like there's 500 mils in this water. But I'd say sort of 50-50 of hot to cold water. And that also means that I can now put my hands in it. Obviously, I've got very thick rubber gloves on. So I'm going to take my black. Now, I also have this little spoon. It did not come with my Brusho crystals, but I would normally fill that to about half. This tiny spoon. It's not even a teaspoon's worth. It's about half a teaspoon, the whole of this. So 1/4 of a teaspoon. But I'm actually just going to sprinkle these in, guys. You can already start to see some of the colours. Do you see those blues in there? Which is why you get the bluey grey. And literally, honestly, guys, I'm not using a lot at all. It's a few sprinkles or about 1/4 of a teaspoon. If you want to use half a teaspoon, fine. I don't suggest you use a whole teaspoonful of these crystals because you're just wasting them. And there's really no need to. So yeah, it's like salt. And then what I would do is get something like a stick or a paintbrush, because, you know, you can paint with Brusho crystals, and stir that in so that all those mica colours are really blended together. And you're already getting this kind of purpley grey black, which is delicious. So I just have some basic papers, guys. Honestly, I do not waste paper on paper dyeing. I have some very basic copier paper, like very basic. I don't even know what the GSM is of this because I can't even find it on there. It's just very basic. And then I have some navigator paper, which is 80 GSM. Now this is better quality because it's meant to really show colour when you print. And I used to use paper like that for when I was printing out journals when I first started. Now I don't. Now I only use matte photo paper. And I'm just putting my paper straight in, guys. I'm not even like, there's no particular technique. Put your paper in. In the other one, I actually put index cards and all sorts of things, but I hadn't pulled any more of those out. So it is what it is. And I am wondering if I want a little bit more. There is blacky grey there, but like literally look at those colours, guys. There's orange in there and everything. I mean, honestly, Brusho crystals are amazing. Stare that. Not too much. I want some of those blues on that one. Yeah, I think I found out about Brusho crystals because I was still making a lot of cards at the time, and I had this card magazine, and they had this amazing technique in it where they'd use Brusho crystals and bleach to get this sort of celestial sky effect. And I was like, I need those right now. And so I went and got them. But they've lasted me forever. They really have. I want more colours. I really do. but the pack only comes in those. The other colours I think you tend to have to buy separately. So let's put some of the better quality copier paper. It's still only 80 GSM, guys. It's not like, you know, it's not matte photo paper. The darker colour might be the matte photo paper. I might get one sheet of my matte photo paper and see if that's why it's so dark. Because normally it just comes out a pale kind of grey. Love it. So let me grab that and then I'll be back. So this is the matte photo paper. It's Koala. For my basic journal sheets, I use the £37, 140 GSM. And then I also use the 48, I want to say. I also have the 64. It really depends what I'm doing. Like if I'm doing, sorry, I'm putting my gloves back on. If I'm doing ephemera and that, I'll use the other card. But we are going to put this one sheet of matte photo paper in here. I'm not wasting more than that to test this out. Because, you know, it's expensive, it's good quality, and I don't want to waste that. Okay. I'm wondering if it needs a bit more hot water. Some more of the cheap Navigator paper. So just fill it with whatever you want to fill it with. Okay. Now, I want to try something that I only just tried on the other one. And I'm going to do that. So I'm going to get the black again and I'm just going to make it sit on top. And I want to see if that soaks in as this colour. Because I think that's rather beautiful. Okay, so now I leave mine overnight. And I know a lot of you guys, even with your tea dyeing, are like, you need to take it out within 5 minutes. You need to take it out within 10 minutes. The paper disintegrates if it's left in. I don't know why that seems to happen with other people, but I have never had any paper, tell a lie, maybe one, but it was super, 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 super cheap. But in all the years that I have been tea dyeing and Brusho crystal dyeing, I have never had a situation where I could not leave paper overnight. And I do. I leave all my paper overnight. When I dye paper, be it Brusho, tea dyeing, I don't coffee dye. I leave it overnight and it's a 3-day process because I will leave one batch overnight and I do about 100 sheets and then I dry those and then I put more sheets in once the tins are empty because it's Brusho crystals, guys. And I'm not wasting that. I might top it up with a little bit more hot water, but that's it. And then I'll do the next batch. Look at this. I mean, it looks like marbling, doesn't it? If that dries like that, I am going to be beyond ecstatic. Anyway, so we're experimenting, guys. So I leave mine overnight. Obviously, when you're then pulling it out, be very careful. Because with cheap copy paper, which is basically all I use, as you pull it out, it can rip. So I would suggest being very careful when you're pulling it out. But I have no problems leaving it overnight, guys. I really, really don't. But do you? If you don't want to risk leaving it overnight, especially if you've bought Brusho crystals and you're thinking, oh my goodness, they were expensive. I don't know if they are. I haven't bought them in years, but I will leave the links down below. Then do what you normally do. But I just think maybe you'll get a lighter colour. Also, what I find is if you do leave things overnight, because of the way the the water then settles, even with even using tea dyed paper, you get a really grungy where the kind of water has sat on top of the paper overnight, and I really like that. I also have quite a rusty tin that I use for a lot of my really grungy papers that I leave again overnight, and the bottom, the black, sinks through all the way through the papers and I get these beautiful grungy black. It's not like ridiculously rusted where it's falling apart, but it's got bits that have come off the tin and that gives me an effect too. So I am going to leave it there and hope that it's actually filmed at this time, because I have this one and I have a whole, let me lift it, other tin here that I did. I feel like Blue Peter if you know, like in this country. Here's one I made earlier. And I hope that this actually filmed this time. I'm leaving mine overnight. For you, it'll be a couple of seconds before I show you how I dry mine. So I'll be back to show you that. So it's now time to dry the papers. Mine has been drying overnight, as I said. Yours can be drying for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever works best for you. I am going to oven dry mine. This is where I would suggest do what you are comfortable with, whether that's putting them outside to dry, whether that's leaving them inside to dry, whether that's using a heat tool or oven, whatever you're used to doing. Also, I apologize if my voice is echoey. I am in my kitchen. I have never filmed in here before. This is all very, very weird for me. I feel completely out of my comfort zone. I've got mine, I've got a fan oven and I've got it on about 200. So let's get started. We are going to get some of these out now. So we're going to grab the papers. I'm going to get a tray ready. These are just normal trays. I use baking sheets, and I've also got a little spatula, just a little plastic one, to help me pull it out so I can put it on the baking sheet. Yeah, parchment paper I use. One, because I then use it, like I dry it. So that works best for me. But do what you like to do. I know a lot of people like to use silicone sheets and things like that. This was the tray that you didn't see me do because I did this one first. But this has all these different cards I really want to see. So I dyed one of these index cards that I've got, and I really want to see how that turns out. So we're going to do that. Oh, I've got a postcard here too, so I'm going to do that too. So they're going to be dyed too. And now I'm going to show you how I do, get my tray ready, how I do red. So I like to add the red, again I should be using my gloves, but hey ho. I like to add the red, I'm using Scarlet, and again I'm sprinkling it before they go in the oven. You can probably do this afterwards. I've got a little spray bottle. I'm just gonna spray that. So I discovered this when I was actually doing, I want to get a paper out, so I was dyeing both red and the grey blue papers. And because I was dyeing the red, I had them all out on the side on the parchment paper, and then I put the blue paper down on it, and obviously some ink had gone on the parchment paper. So I discovered that you can obviously add the red. Look at that, guys. Oh my gosh. Do you know what we're going to do actually? I'm going to add some of these on top. And just kind of add them on, and then see, let's add the other one of these on, and we can just pick up some of that red. Look, again I suggest you wear gloves for this, guys. Obviously I'm not. It's one of those cases of do as I say, not necessarily what I do. Just trying to get this up now off this parchment without it ripping. Oh, look at that. It's a good job I'm doing a vampire journal, isn't it? So I'm now going to just put these in the oven, and then we'll do the next lot. So they're in the oven. Again, I leave mine, well, if it's the first lot in there, they normally take a bit longer. I'm going to turn these over so I can try and get this one out without it ripping. But again, dry the way you like to dry. I'm going to put that on there. You already see the red seeping through. How much do we love it? We love it a lot. And I really, really need another tray, but it will do for now. And I also want to, in this one, I also have these kind of invoice sheets. And I want to very carefully add some red on there too. And let's grab another one. So they can be getting nice and inked up. I mean, you could use a different colour, couldn't you? I don't want to at the moment, mainly because I am working on this vampire journal. So yeah, you can just leave them and then ever so gently. I mean, look at that already. It's just beautiful. Can you see it here? But I don't leave the kitchen, I'm telling you. Like, I can be in here for a couple of hours when I've got like 100 of these to do. Because, yeah. And then I'll normally leave it a few minutes. And then I take it out, check it, turn it if I feel like it needs turning. It normally doesn't. I've got the door closed in my oven. This is how I do mine. Not everyone oven dries theirs. I will say if you oven dry, they get a bit crinklier rather than if they're just left flat to dry. But one, I don't have the space to do that, especially with cats that climb on everything. Like, they will tear that paper up. And again, I don't have the space. And two, I don't really have the space in my garden to it. I do have a large garden, but we have neighbours who have smaller children. They often playing games and football. I mean, I get at least one football every day in my garden, and on top of that, my garden is all kind of divided up, and we've got all the trees and bushes. So it's I'm just not able to lay out enough when I'm doing a big batch. So I just find the oven works best for me. But dry them how you want to dry them, and I'm going to check on these next papers, and then I'll come back. Okay, so a few are already dry. You can see how crinkled they are, which is why I know a lot of people don't like cooking in the oven. But I iron mine and then I put it under a huge pile of books for maybe 3 days, and I find it flattens them. So let me show you. This is the one that's got all the red on it. You can see that. There's less on that side, but oh my gosh, isn't that just delicious, guys? And then this is one that doesn't have any red on it. Look how blue that is, grey blue. And then I just want to show you, so I did a few of the index cards, which you can see are this grey blue. And then this one, the postcards I wanted to do. This is one of the index cards that was like a kind of creamy yellow that I tried to blue because it tried to dye because it has this red on it too. So it came out okay, but not my favorite. So I'm just trying a few more. I did want to check because I swapped over some of the other papers from the other tray onto this tray, and this one in particular, I think this is the matte photo paper. I think this is the matte photo paper that I used, and look at how that one's come out, and it's not even dried yet, but it is really thick, and I know when I dry it it's going to come out really, really thick, but this is beautiful. So yeah, matte photo paper, you get a really darker color. Let me just check the oven again. Okay, so I got a few out and I wanted to show you them. So these are those, these were originally white. They're from a receipt book. You can see the red and blue on there. Again, I will iron these and I'll show you the difference in a minute. This is one of the other blue ones. This one, you can see how crinkled. Now, I'm going to say as well, there's another reason they're so crinkled. But guys, look at the photo paper. Now, realistically, photo paper is very expensive. I would not say use it for dyeing, but I have to say I'm really in love with this. And this came out from the actual, this isn't burning, this came out when it was in the tin because of the way the paper was sitting on top of it. And you can see all these white spots as well on it. I mean, that's just crazy. Did they just start appearing? Ooh. Anyway, so I wouldn't advise doing it, but it was interesting to do so. And I've already ironed one piece of paper. And you can already see, yes, it's still a bit crinkled, but that's it coming out of the oven. That's it ironed. Just the one iron at the moment. Hold on. I had to get more out of the oven. So basically, guys, the reason mine is so crinkled as well is not only because I'm oven drying, because it will crinkle when you're oven dry, and not only because I have it on a high heat, because you'll probably get less of a crinkle if you have it on a lower heat, but because I've got baking paper underneath as well. If you have got a flat tray, a flat silicone sheet, then it won't crinkle as much. But as I said, I like to put mine on parchments because I'm using Brusho crystals, and then I can use the parchment afterwards too. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to finish all these, and then the last part of this video I'll come on and I'll show you everything I've dyed, and we'll go over the tips, techniques and things like that again. Really don't know how this video is going to go because I've never filmed like this. I've never filmed in my kitchen before. I feel a bit all discombobulated, but you guys have really been asking for this tutorial, so hopefully you get something from it. So everything is now dry, and I actually did a few other experimentations. I'm not sure if it really worked as I hope it would, but let me get these ones first. So these are the ones that you saw me dye and dry. Dye and dry. And I've got some white paper here, so you can really see, I'm hoping, the difference, the bluey grey colour. Look at the red on that one, guys. I love it. Yeah, so I've got all the index cards here, and they're all, some of them are more mottled. I think that's where the Brusho crystals just landed on them. So they're the index cards and things. And then these are the papers, making sure I've got it all in camera. So they're this kind of grey blue. Look at the mottling on that. That was one of the ones that would have been on top. And you can see like all the bubbling. So as I said, that's one of the reasons I like to leave mine overnight. I realised when I watched back one of the parts of this video, I just kept repeating overnight, overnight, overnight. So I apologise for that. These are some of the ones. So this again was the matte photo paper. But yes, some of these have red on them. I'm trying to find some of the ones. This has got some markings too. Hoping you can see them all. I'm back at my craft table where I feel much more myself. Look at all the red on that one. So what I did with some of them, I tried also spraying some with Brusho crystals when like sprinkling it on top rather than on the baking parchment paper that we used. But it has similar effects, so I don't think either way is fine, guys. So yeah, and we've got all these with the red, and you can see they're much flatter now that they've been ironed and left for several days under some books. Look at the markings on that one. So yeah, this is the look. I think this was the first sheet we did. This soaked up all the red. Oh, and this one, so I actually sprinkled Brusho crystals on top of this before it went in the oven. So again, these are the black crystals, guys, and you can see just all the colours, the blues, the oranges, the greys. So yeah, instead of putting it in the water, I got this out of the water and it was already dyed, and then I just sprinkled some on top, let them dry a little bit, and then put them in the oven too. So I like that effect. We've got lots with the grey, blue. You can just look at the different colours. I do think if you use more Brusho crystals, again, don't use too many. There's no need to use too many because, oh, and these ones I put on top as well. Look at those. I just love it. Yeah, they're expensive. Well, you just don't have to use too many, but I would say probably use, this might have had Brusho crystals put on top of it too. Use maybe a little bit more if you want a darker colour. realistically, because I never measure, I know I should, guys, but I don't. I don't like measuring with a ruler, and I don't like measuring in other ways. I don't like numbers. I know that doesn't make it great when I'm trying to do a tutorial, and I know a lot of you out there like to be very specific, and I can understand why. But I'm just one of those people that is like, well, I'll put this much in and see what happens, which is why none of mine ever come out exactly the same. Look at that. I think that was sitting on top as well. So that's those ones. So they're the ones that are just, we'll put that one to the back, are just the black Brusho crystals. That's all the ones we dyed. Now, I then decided, because I still had some black in the pot, so this went over several days, guys. You'll see it all in one video, and I did it over several days. I then decided to add some purple into the water with the black to see, because normally it comes out a brighter purple, so this is a much more muted purple, and you can see against the grey blue just how different that is. So again, I did some index cards. Look at that one. I don't know why some end up like that and others don't. But that one has as well. But so I got all this lovely purple. And then I like things like this because this is where the other paper is laying on top of it. And yes, we've got all these purples, which is great. And where's the white sheet gone to? It's under here. Because you can really see, like, this is the white, this is the purple onto there. But again, it's a purpley grey, because obviously I added the purple Brushos on top of, look at that one, look at that, and this is where the index cards have been lying. But again, look at that. So purple on that side, really bluey purple on that side. I added them to the one that already had a lot of black Brushos, so it's more of a much muted grey blue. Look at that. Look at the markings on there, guys. See, some of them just came out. How did these come out like this and then these ones like this? I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes it's just the way it is. Sometimes it's because they're the ones on top. Sometimes they're the ones on the bottom. Look, that's completely purple that side. And then I turn it over. Look, this will show you the difference. That's one sheet of paper, guys. So, love this on here. Do you see that? This was exactly the same paper that I used, that you saw me use for the original black Brushos. So I'm just showing you. I'm going to go through the rest quickly. But yes, so there's lots of different, look at that. There's lots of different, I just did lots of purples, guys. Like, but some came out grey blue, and then that one again. Maybe one of them I put more purple in, or one had it reacted more with the black. I don't know. So I put some purple in with the black that was had already been used, and then I just topped it up with a little bit more hot water. And then I'd seen Tony use brown in her black in the Crafted by Tony video. I'll link it. I'd seen her use that, and I thought, oh, I really like what she's done. But I think she added either less black than me and more brown, or just more brown, because when I added brown, I got this kind of grey colour. Now, it's almost identical to this colour. Can you see? They're almost, but this is one of the index cards. This is the black. This is the black with the brown. So it's almost identical, but it's much more of a real kind of grey colour. Like a real, look how dark that one is for the grey. Look at that, guys. And then again, this is the one with black. So it's much more of a grey colour. It's still got that blue tinge. I don't even know what happened to this one. Like, this was the grey brown. And again, look at the difference in colour in that one sheet of paper. I think I probably needed a lot more brown I might just try it with brown and see if I get that effect with a hint of black. But that's the thing with Brusho crystals. You just got to play, guys. So again, if you look a bit ripped, if you look, these are much more grey to the black blue. I'm really hoping that colour difference shows up. I'll show you on the white. This is the black, just plain black. This is the black with brown. So I need to experiment a bit more with adding brown. I don't know why. I've added other inks when I've been inking because I did rainbow. Look at that one, guys. I mean, I'm sorry. I think this is one of my favourite papers. I've added, this one also ended up with some red and orange on it when I didn't add any red to any of these. I've added different inks before because I've made unicorn papers, but for some reason I've never really mixed my Brusho crystals together. That's got the reddy brown on it too. And this one. Oh, look at that one. This one was sitting on top. I'm sorry. It's gorgeous. It's delish. That's yummy. And this one. I think this must have been sitting on top on the other one. There's so many colours in there. There must have been some red somewhere because there's the odd hint of it. Even though I didn't add any, it's picked up from somewhere. Look at it, guys. So, yeah, I suggest experimenting. Look at this. This is definitely, this colour has come from the brown in the Brusho crystals. And yeah, it's this light grey. So I really like this because it gives me a more crypt feel. The bluey black I like for the grunginess for darker journals. But this kind of grey I really like for the kind of crypt feel. And some of it's really darker and some of it's lighter. I mean, honestly, these papers were all in the exact same 2 trays. I didn't take anything out and I just used the exact papers and you just get different effects. So that's those. And I also wanted to quickly show you, let me grab them. Sorry, I just grabbed a whole lot and realistically I don't need all of them, but I want to show you some other colours that I've Brusho dyed. So this is just using the red. It comes out very pink if you use the red. You get the red on the edge, you see that, but it comes out very pink. So I have dyed all of these with red Brusho crystals. This must be a thicker, different kind of paper. It's not matte photo paper, but it might be my thicker copier paper because it feels more like card. And the colour definitely comes out darker on that. So yeah, these are all just dyed with, look at that, the red Brusho crystals. And then put those to one side. That's one of the grey green ones. And then I'll show you, these are, I'm not going to show you all of them, I'm just going to grab some. These are using blue Brusho crystals. So you can see that the black, using black, you almost get the same shade as the blue, but not quite. It's brighter. So yeah, these are really bright blue. These are on a thicker card as well. Because I use those for my large journals. So yeah, you can see just how bright blue those are. This also has some yellow in it because I was using some yellow. I think I was dyeing yellow at the same time, and when I was putting my fingers in to grab one to the other, and this, when it opens up, look how light it is there because it was closed like that in the water. And yeah, blue Brusho crystals. Just, this is the blue, this is the grey black. So you can see got the red there, you can see the difference. So yeah, these are all ones I've dyed with blue Brusho crystals. I've only got a couple of my green Brusho crystal papers left. I really need to do more of those, but these are using the green Brushos. I think I mixed both leaf green and emerald green, so you get this kind of mottled effect on some of the pages. I'm telling you, you just can't always tell. Sometimes it's how the pages are put in. Sometimes it's how the pages are on top. You just can't tell. And finally, the final colour I've got left, because I need to re-dye a lot, is using yellow Brusho crystals. Now, again, this is on that thicker paper, so you can see how much brighter that is to maybe one of the lighter sheets. I'm really hoping these are picking up because, like, it's so dark now. But yeah, this is using the yellow Brusho crystals. Again, depends how much you put in. Don't overdo it. Start off small. This is the yellow too. These are great for spring journals. So yeah, so that is those ones too. I just wanted to share those ones with you. But as I said, I have... These are the bluey, these are the ones using the black Brushos that you guys asked for with the red on there. They may not be as dark as some of my others are, but this is how you get this blue-black effect. And again, I'm going to link Brushos down below. Play with them, experiment with them, add a few of this, add a base of that, try putting red with yellow. I don't know if that'll work, but you just don't know. Or sprinkle on top like I did. Hold on, trying to find it. If you sprinkle them on top, you get that really... Oh my gosh, where was it, guys? You get all the different colours kind of mottled together. You know, the ones that I showed you, which for some reason have now completely disappeared. They weren't in the purple, were they? I don't know. But yeah, sprinkle some on top when it's drying before you put it out. So let's go over a few things. Make sure you're wearing gloves. My hands are just about clean of them now. Make sure you're wearing gloves. Make sure your area that you're Brusho dyeing on is protected. Make sure you're using a pan that you're not going to cook in or something like that, because, you know, it's Brusho crystals. Also, leave them in for as long as you would normally. In fact, I would love to know if you try this technique and you leave yours in for 5 or 10 minutes rather than overnight. I would love to know down below how yours came out. Also, just tell me if you try this out. Let me know in the comments below if you try this out and what kind of effects you get from it. I would love to know that too. Play around with them. As I said, I leave mine overnight. I just have cheap copy paper, guys, and like none of these are ripped. This is how many I got, leaving them overnight. And then when you are drying, dry the way you would normally. If you are going to dry in the oven and you are new to drying in the oven, please do not leave that kitchen. Please make sure you are checking in that oven every couple of minutes. Maybe even leave the oven door open, which is kind of a waste of electricity and heat. But just stay by the oven if you're going to try the oven and you haven't before. I've been doing this for years, so I'm very used to it. But be safe. That's the most important thing. Be safe. Dry them as you would normally dry them and have fun. Experiment. Try different colours. To be honest, I discovered Brusho crystals, like I said, because I was making cards. But I would watch a lot of people dyeing their paper, especially American crafters, dyeing their paper with like food colouring or the powders you can get when you dye eggs for Easter. And that, funny enough, is just not that easy to get in this country, especially the powder. Or you use like, is it Kool-Aid or something like that? You use a drink powder in the States. Again, not something that is regularly available here. So when I was looking at what can I use to dye my papers, one of the things I thought is, well, if I can paint with Brusho crystals, I should be able to dye with Brusho crystals. And that's how I kind of experimented. So have a look at what you've got, guys, in your house. But I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It was a little bit different. I don't know. I hope you got something out of it. And as I said, a lot of you have requested this after seeing me use a lot of these grey blue to almost black, the really dark ones, for Creep on June. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it gave you some ideas. I will leave the link to Brusho crystals down below. I will also leave the link to Tony's video where she showed how she got the brown, but I don't know. I'll have to ask her. Did she put a lot more brown? So I'm going to do that. And yeah, that's it for now, guys. Have fun, be safe, and just experiment. We're crafters. That's what we do. We play around with things. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And if you're like me, you never know whether it's going to work or not, because as I said, I don't really measure. I just do what feels right. So that's it for now, guys. Please do like and subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you so much for watching. And wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having lots and lots of spooky, crafty fun.